Hi guys, and welcome back to our fourth lesson in our decimals topic. Today, as you can see, we're going to be learning how to multiply and divide decimals by 10, 100 and 1000. You will have been successful today if you can understand how to multiply and divide your decimals by 10, 100 and 1000 correctly. So here I've got the question 7.4 times by 10. Now, last time when we were timesing by 10, we thought of it as moving everything up a place value. That is still exactly the same when we have a decimal point. So here, if I fill in that I've got 0.4, everything's going to move up. So my units move up to my tens, and this time my tenths are going to move into my units. So I'm then going to have 70 and 4 to give me 74. A quicker way that you can think about it is for every 0 that we've got, we are going to move our decimal place back that many. 10 has 1 0, so we move our decimal place back 1 place to make my number bigger. So here I've got 3.5 times 10. Well, if we're thinking about it the same way, moving my decimal place back once is just going to become 35. And 6.89, it's only moving back once. This time we have got 2 numbers after my decimal point, so it's going to be 68, then keep my decimal point and have my 9 after it to give me 68.9. This time we are going to times by 100, so I've got 3 units, my decimal point, 2 tenths and 5 hundredths, and when we times by 100 we move everything up 2 places, so my units go to my hundredths, tenths will go up to tens, hundreds will go up to units. So 3 is going to become 300, the 2 is going to move up to my tens, and my 5 is going to fit into that units bit there. So I've got 2 zeros this time, so a quicker way to think about it is we've just moved back that decimal point 2 places to make it a bigger number again. Okay, 0.14 times by 100, well we've got 2 zeros, so 1, 2. If my decimal point is going to the end here, that's just going to give me the answer of 14. So this time we've got 100 times by 5.678, and when we multiply we can do it either way round, so this is just the same as our 5.678 times by 100. We've got 2 zeros, so I'm moving that decimal place back 2 spots to give me 567.8. Now remember, I'm doing my decimal point really big because it doesn't show up as well when I'm writing with my pen on the screen. So you draw your decimal points normally. I'm doing it so that you can clearly see where mine is. Now, when we times by 10, we moved it back once. When we times by 100, we moved it back twice. When we times by 1000, we've got 3 zeros, so I'm going to have to move it back 3 places. So this time it would go 1, 2, and if I moved it back a 3rd space, I've really got a 0 in here. We just don't need to write that in when we've got our 16.78. So this time my decimal point is going to be after that 0, so my answer is 16780. For our next one then, I've got 3.09, again times by 1000. So 1, 2, 3, oh really we would have a 0 in there, so that's going to become 3090 for our answer. Dividing by 10, remember dividing is the opposite of timesing, so if I've got 5 units, my decimal point and 2 tenths, and I'm dividing by 10, everything's going to move down a place value to get smaller. So tenths are going to go down to hundredths, units are going to go down to tenths. So this time my 5 is going to move into the tenths column, my 2 into my hundredths, and to make this make sense I need to put a 0 at the start and fill in my decimal point there. So another way to think about this then is that we are moving our decimal point forward a space for every 0 that we have. And if there's no number in front of that first one here, like in this case, we need to put a 0. So it's 0.52. So same idea, I've got 7.8 divided by 10, so if I move my decimal space back one to make my number smaller, that is going to become 0.78. And for 19, remember, although we don't see a decimal point, the decimal point always comes after our units, so really it's sitting there, and when I divide by 10, we move it back one space in between that 1 and the 9 to give us 1.9. So this time we've got 70.5 divided by 100. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in 7 tens, 0 units, my decimal, and then 5 tenths. We've got our 2 zeros, so everything is going to move back to place values. So tenths down to my thousandths, units down to my hundredths, and tens down to my tenths. So let's move it all down then. So 5 is going to move into this space, my 0 into hundredths, and my 7 into the tenths. And then again, for this to make sense, I need my decimal point and a 0 in my units. We don't need to fill in tens, it's just 0.705 for our answer. And as we can see, just like last time, we have 2 zeros, so we have moved 2 spaces, moved that decimal point 2 spaces forward. 14.56 divided by 100 then, we've got 2 zeros, 1, 2 spaces to the front, so that's going to become 0.1456. And then 6.7 divided by 100, well, I'm just going to write it out down here. 6.7 divided by 100, it's the 2 zeros, so it would move 1, 2 spaces. So really I need to put a 0 in front of that 6. The decimal point has moved 2 places, so that's then going to be 0.067 for our answer there. And do we see that decimal place has moved 1, 2 to be at the front there. Hopefully we can work out then what our rule is this time. With dividing by 10, we moved that decimal 1 place forward. For 100, we moved it 2 places forward. For 1,000, we've got 3 zeros. So 1, 2, 3. 314.2 divided by 1,000 then is going to give us 0.3142. And 0.1 divided by 1,000, well, this time it's still going to be my 3 spaces forward. So that's once, twice, 3 times. So I need to put 2 zeros in front of the 0 we already had. So that is going to become then 0.1, 2, 3 zeros and our 1, because the decimal place has moved 1, 2, 3, so there would be a 0 in front of our decimal place for our place value to make sense. And that is you at the end of today's lesson. I tried to go through those examples as quick as I could because it's pretty similar rules to what we've done before. But if there's anything we are unsure about, remember you can drop me an email or post a message in the Teams chat and I will try to explain it in another way if that would help you. Here you can see we've got questions 1 to 5. These are all of our multiplying by 10, 100 and 1,000. 4 and 5 I would expect to see you writing down the sum, but for 1, 2 and 3 you can just write down your final answer. For 6, 7, 8 and 9 they are all of our division questions. Again, 6, 7 and 8 you can just write down the final answer if you can, and 9 I would want to see what sum you are doing and then your final answer. Don't forget your units. It's really important in maths that we have our units. So if you see meters, kilometres, kilograms, whatever the units are, make sure you put them in your final answer. Again, all I ask is that you try your best, guys, so give it your best shot and I will see you in the next lesson.